Welcome to all of you who are joining us today for the first in the 2023 Healthy Families series. Thanks to Mount Sinai Health Foundation, we're able to do this, and we plan to do around a dozen total in the coming months before the end of 2023 on topics that we hope are of interest and helpful to all of you, and we'll be asking you later for your input on that in a survey that we'll share at the very end of today's presentation. I am Joan Spurl. I'm director of Dolly Parton's Imagination Library at the Literacy Cooperative. We're the local affiliate for Cuyahoga County for the program. Dolly Parton depends on local partners to manage the program and to find the funding to make it available in particular communities. So I love being in this role, and I am assuming that some of you attending today are Imagination Library families. And if you aren't and you have a child under the age of 5, please get them registered to get a free book mailed to them every month from birth, and it goes until the month the child turns 5, and tell your friends too. And in the meantime, I'm just very grateful that I encountered Stephanie Penza at a community event recently and saw her table from the Rainbow Babies and Children's Injury Prevention Department. They had a whole array of resources and handouts that I thought, oh my goodness, this is all very important information. And it's summertime. Hey, happy summer. It's the solstice today, I think. It is the first day of summer. So happy summer. So we thought it would be fitting to invite them, her and her team, to present on summer safety for your family. And they are each going to present for us about different topics, and then we'll have time for Q&A afterwards. So keep your questions in mind. If you want, you can do them as you have them into the Q&A section, but no, you might want to wait to see if you, in the presentation time, if your question's answered, and then, but again, after that, after they're done presenting, we will do Q&A for all of you, and you'll be able to write that into that section. So I'm gonna mute myself and go off video and let Stephanie take over from here. So thank you and welcome.
Great, thank you so much, Joan, and thank you for joining us, everyone. As Joan mentioned, my team and I here at the Rainbow Babies Injury Prevention Center are honored to be here to talk about summer safety and how to keep you and your family safe this summer. As you can see on the screen, we are going to have our 3 presenters. We're going to talk about topics such as water safety, childhood passenger safety, and general summer safety tips. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Sarah Moore. Sarah is a community outreach coordinator, a safety squad coordinator, and a YMCA certified lifeguard. And Sarah is going to talk to you about a topic that's near and dear to her heart, which is water safety. So I'm going to put myself on mute while we transition for you to meet Sarah. So thanks for being here, everybody.
Hi, everyone. As Stephanie said, I work with her at in the Injury Prevention Center at Rainbow Babies and Children's. I have been a lifeguard for 10 years, and so today I'm going to be talking to you about water safety, which is one of my favorite things to talk about. So hopefully you all enjoy it as much as I do. All right. Hold on, we're trying to get it to change slides here. All right, here we go. Yes, so I'm going to be talking to you about water safety. So first thing I want to talk about is what drowning looks like. So most people, thanks to Hollywood, think that drowning looks like people thrashing around in the water, screaming for help, but drowning is actually silent. It doesn't look like it does in the movies, which is why a lot of people tend to not recognize it when they see it. So this is a really good graphic to demonstrate what it looks like. So you'll typically see someone who's vertical in the water with their head will be tilted back because they're trying to get air into their mouth. They are making a little climbing ladder motion with their hands because they're trying to get their head above the water. They are typically facing an exit. So if you're at a beach, they'll be facing shore. If you're at a pool, they'll be facing a ladder, the steps, the side of the pool. And you'll notice they'll be trying to reach that, but they won't be able to really make any forward progress in the water. And of course, they won't typically be raising their hands up or screaming for help because they are in survival mode and they are just trying to get air into their lungs. So if they lift their hands up, that'll push them down further. If they waste their air to call for help, then it's going to be harder for them to get that air to breathe. And a really important saying in the water safety world is reach or throw, don't go. So this is all about what to do when you see someone who's drowning, someone that will need your help. So the first aspect of that is reach. So you want to use something long to reach out to the victim and keep yourself out of the water. So that can be a rope, that can be a pool skimmer. There are various other objects, which I'll show you later on. And then throw. So if someone is not close enough for you to reach, even with a longer object, then you can throw something to them, which is like a ring buoy, which I have a picture of that, so I'll show you for those of you that aren't aware of what a ring buoy looks like, or a life jacket. You can use those to throw to the victim, and that will keep the victim afloat either while help is on its way, or if it gives them enough buoyancy, they might gain that confidence to kick back to the shore or to the boat or the side of the pool, wherever it is that they are at. And then I also just wanted to put an important reminder in there, which is that toys are not meant to support someone's weight. So you have those, those little arm floaties, or those inner tubes that kids love to play in. Those are not rescue items. They are meant for play. And while they might help you float a little bit, they are not intended to support your full weight in the water. Therefore, they can't really be relied upon to save someone's life. And they do have those warnings printed on them if anyone ever reads the fine print on their pool toys, which I might be the only person that does that. So, and then the most important aspect is don't go. So never enter the water to try to save someone. You'll see this a lot on the news with double drownings. Typically it's like a family went out for a fun day at the beach. One family member got into trouble, the other family member went in after them to try to help them, and then you end up having a tragic ending to that story where both family members unfortunately pass away. So in that situation, this is why we always say don't go in after someone. If you happen to be a lifeguard and you have training on how to rescue someone from the water, or you're a member of the Coast Guard and you have that training, then if you're trained to, then by all means enter the water to help someone. But if you don't have that training, don't do it. There are a lot of things to take in consideration. If you put yourself in that situation in the water with the victim, you have to think you are a floating object to them and they are in survival mode. So therefore they might latch onto you, push you down, and it's nothing personal. They're just trying to live and you're there and they're desperate. So they just kind of push you under. Or it could be a situation where you might not be a strong enough swimmer to get them back to safety, and then you tire yourself out and then you find yourself in danger. Or it could be whatever's causing an issue for the victim, like maybe it's a current, or maybe it's a tree branch or something that's under the water that you can't see and they're caught on it. You could then be in the same situation as them. And if you're both in the water, then no one's calling for help, no one's raising any attention to the situation. and then you're both kind of just on your own and hoping for the best. So definitely don't go in to the water after someone ever, unless you have that training. So these are some objects that we have that you can use to reach a victim. So there's a shepherd's crook hook. Kind of depends on what you want to call it. I've heard it both ways. So a lot of times pools will have these hanging on their walls. They are intended to kind of hook onto the victim, pull them to the side. You have a pool skimmer. It's not a rescue object, but it is long and you can use it to reach someone who needs your help. Then you see what the lifeguards are typically carrying around, a rescue tube. Those are long for a reason. You can use them to reach a victim. If you're out boating and you have an oar, that is something that you could easily use to reach a victim. And then of course, rope will give you a little more length there to reach out to a victim. And then of course you can also use things you find around you. Like if you're at a beach and you see a long stick that you could use, a long branch that has broken off of a tree, you could use that as well. And then this is just a picture to demonstrate if you're going to be reaching out to a victim, you'll want to make sure that you get low to the ground. The victim's going to be in the water. You are obviously going to be way above them. If they pull on the end of your object, you could easily fall in and then again be in danger. So make sure you're lying on the ground, reaching out to them so that you are in control of the situation and can stay safely out of the water. And then these are some objects that are great for throwing to help someone who is a bit further away. So you'll see a ring buoy. Those are typically everywhere. You'll see them hanging up at pools. You'll see them hanging around at little stations and in natural bodies of water. So near beaches, near ponds and parks, things like that. They typically are attached to a rope. So you obviously you throw the flotation device part to the victim and then you can pull them in with the rope. You'll see a life jacket. You can easily throw that to someone to keep them afloat while you get help. Sorry about that. Then you'll see there's a little throwable, it looks like a cushion. Those are typically found on boats. They're meant for throwing to assist a drowning victim. So that is another thing that you could use. And then at the end there, we have a throw bag, which is a bag that is filled with rope. So you hold on to the end of the rope and then you throw the bag out to the victim. And as you throw it, the rope inside unwinds. So it's easy to throw, fairly easy to aim, and then you will be able to pull the victim to safety. And then the other important thing I want to talk about is supervision. So someone can slip under the surface of water in as little as 20 to 30 seconds. So even if you think you're just responding to a quick text message, if you take your eyes off of your children in the pool, at the beach, for even to just respond to a text message, tragedy can happen. So make sure that you are not distracted when you're watching your children. And again, pool toys and even Coast Guard approved flotation devices, they're not substitutes for supervision. So even if your child is wearing a Coast Guard approved flotation device, that doesn't mean you can just leave them in your backyard pool and then go inside and have a relaxing half hour or so to yourself. They can certainly help your child float, but they are not in place of supervision ever. So we recommend that you assign a water watcher, which is an adult that will watch the children that are swimming in the pool or wherever it is that you're at. Their main focus is the water, so they are making sure all the children are safe. Some people use a designated water watcher necklace or bracelet, just so the other adults know that that is the person watching the water. And then just an important thing to remember, if everyone is supposed to be watching, no one is. So if you go to a community pool party, and you're assuming the other parents are watching and it's okay for you to go grab a burger while your kid is swimming, do not do that. Always make sure that someone is watching and is not distracted. Whether that's you or someone else, confirm that before you leave your child alone. And then also just a reminder, watch your children even at guarded bodies of water. Lifeguards are great. They have a lot of training. However, that they're not babysitters, so they are scanning the entire area of water. They are in charge of several people at once. They are trying to make sure everyone is safe. And just having that extra set of eyes, your eyes watching your children, will just help make sure that everything is all right and that you are able to have fun at the water, in the water with your family without worrying about anything tragic. And then swim lessons, those are great to look into. For children's ages 1 to 4, swim lessons can reduce the risk of drowning by up to 90%. So definitely build your child's confidence, sign them up for swim lessons. You can look into swim lessons at the YMCA, Goldfish Swim School, community rec pools. Just see who in your area offers it and sign them up. It is definitely a lifesaver. And then the last slide, which we'll send these out later, just has some resources for water safety information. So that was my little spiel on water safety. I'm going to go ahead and mute our microphone and pass this off to my colleague Heidi, who will talk to you about child passenger safety.
Hello, everyone. My name is Heidi. I'm one of the child passenger safety coordinators here at Rainbow. I oversee the car seat distribution programs and all of our education programs and all of our grant programs, anything to do with car seat safety. So I'm a certified technician and instructor, and I'm also trained on the kids with special needs. So anything you want to know about car seat safety, I'm your girl. So did you know that 3 out of 4 car seats are installed incorrectly? It's scary, but actually true. We cover a 10-county range here at Rainbow, and our misuse rate hovers between 89% and 93% of car seats are not installed correctly, which is just unbelievable if you really, really think about it. We know that car seats work if they're used correctly every time, which means they have to be installed correctly in the car, and then the child has to be harnessed correctly as well. And I should say it's really hard to talk about car seats in just 10 minutes, but I'm going to do my best to try. So why car seats work? So they do some really fantastic work. The car seat keeps the child in the car as long as it's restrained to the vehicle seat. They protect the head, neck, and spine, especially when a child is rear facing. They help spread, along with the harness, the crash forces over a large part of the child's body. And they hold the child at the shoulders and the hips, the strongest parts of the body. So if you think about the way a seatbelt works for adults, seatbelt should be across the boniest part of your chest. So right across the boniest part of your chest, and then should rest on your hip bones. Those are the 2 strongest parts of your body. So that's what we wanted on the child as well. Basics of car seat safety. So we really want kiddos rear facing until the minimum age of 2. Not only is the American Academy of Pediatrics recommending that, but a lot of car seat manufacturers have changed their directions to reflect that as well. If you look at even flow seats, for instance, they actually say that the car seat can't be used forward facing until a child turns 2 years of age. There's been a ton of research about rear facing seats, and kiddos are so much safer rear facing. If you go back to the previous slide where we talked about how the car seat spreads those crash forces and protects the head, neck, and spine, when that seat is rear facing, think of it as a cocoon. So it's angled usually at a 45-degree angle. Your car seat leads you to that. And it surrounds the child. And then that harness works also to keep them in the seat, which we're going to talk about in another slide or two, but rear facing till at least 2. Forward facing seats with harness, keep them in that forward facing harness seat until they've outgrown the height or weight limits of that specific car seat. We see a really bad trend in the Cleveland area where kids are jumping into booster seats as early as 3 and they don't no business in a car seat. One, they're using it against the manufacturer's directions. There are no car seats on the market that allow a child under the age of 4. Their directions are pretty specific. It says 4 years of age and 40 pounds. So to talk about that as well, the law in the state of Ohio, and I'll tell you what, we have one of the worst laws in the United States. It's just a terrible law, really doesn't protect our children adequately. So our law says that a child must be restrained in a child safety seat until they're 4 years of age and 40 pounds, and a booster seat until 8 years of age or 4 feet 9. I can tell you that kids in forward-facing seats with a harness are so much safer than a booster seat. If you think about elements of safety, you lose a little element every time you jump from one stage to the next. So rear facing would be safest for all of us, even us drivers, but that would look really silly. Forward-facing seats, keep them in that harness longer. Booster seats, how many of you know a 4-year-old that can sit perfectly still in their seat without messing with the seatbelt or unbuckling or moving in the car? Probably a lot of you are shaking your head saying, no way, that would never, ever happen. So keep them in that harness longer, keep them in that harness until they've outgrown the height and weight limits of the seat before they jump to a booster seat. So keep that in mind. Seatbelts are actually built for people that are 5 feet, 100 pounds or taller or bigger, to be honest. That's how a car is designed. And then the front seat's always reserved for kids 13 plus years. You've all seen the warning labels in your car. That's because an airbag deploys at 200 plus miles an hour. And putting a child in front of an airbag versus an adult is a huge thing. An airbag for an adult is supposed to implode at our chest, like our neck and chest level. If you put a 5 or 6-year-old child in the front seat, that airbag is going to deploy into their face. And I'll be honest, we don't see a lot of children survive that kind of crash when they are with an airbag. So 5 steps to correct car seat use: selection, direction, location, harness adjustment and fit, and installation. These are the 5 important things we teach every parent when you come to one of our car seat fitting stations. And we always get asked, what's the best car seat? We want you to use the best car seat that both fits the child, it fits the vehicle, and that you'll use correctly every time. And it fits in your budget. That's not on the screen, but we want it to fit in your budget as well. So selection, we want it to fit you, like we just said. Direction, we want the car seat facing the correct way. So whether based on the child's age, weight, height, and developmental level. So keeping a kid rear facing past 2, you absolutely can as long as the manufacturer says so. People are known to rear face some kids up to the age of 4. They might have some muscle control issues or head control issues. It can be done. Location, choosing an appropriate location in the vehicle, and not just for that child, but looking at everyone who's traveling in the vehicle and making sure everybody's seated properly. Harnessing, the harness has to be adjusted to fit the child properly. So whether it's rear facing or forward facing changes how the harness is used, and that can be found in your instruction manual for the car seat. And then lastly, making sure that the car seat is actually installed to the vehicle seat. If you put the child in and harness it, but you don't attach it to the vehicle seat, it's not going to help any in a crash. It just isn't. It's important that you do everything all at once. First step, always follow the car seat manufacturer's instructions. If for some reason the manufacturer's instructions conflict or you can't get a good installation, you can also look at the vehicle owner's manual. Make sure you read the car seat labels in the manual. The labels on the car seat will tell you everything you need to know, from how to install it, where to install it, what is the age of the child that can be in that seat, etc. And then your car seat manual and your vehicle manual will tell you how to install it. They give great pictures of how it works and everything. And the manual shows you what the parts of the seats are and what the names are. Installation, you can use seatbelt or lower anchors. Can't use both. They work against each other in a crash. So seatbelt is standard in every car in every position. Lower anchors or latch stands for lower anchors and tethers for children. So every car manufactured after 1999 has to have latch sets in a car. Those are the little anchors at the bottom of the vehicle seat bite. And then the tether anchor is usually in a sedan, it's on the back window, and in SUVs, it's on the floor, or it's in the trunk, sometimes it's on the ceiling. That's for forward facing only. Angle indicators are different on all the different seats. Sometimes it's just a line to use when a child is rear facing to show that they're at that 45-degree angle, or it could be a bubble level of some sort in the car seat as well to show you where that needs to be. And then the inch test. We want to make sure when you install it, it doesn't move more than 1 inch side to side or front to back. And I have a quick video I'm going to show you here in a second that shows you that. Harnessing, it's really important that the harness height is correct. And you probably won't remember this, but when they're rear facing, the harness goes at or below their shoulders. And when it goes forward facing, it's at or above. The reason it's different is that's how the car seat works in a crash. I could get real technical on you, but that we would go down like a whole physics road and that would take us forever. So make sure you know how to adjust the harness. That's also in your instruction manual. And how to tighten and loosen it, and then making sure that the harness is snug using the pinch test, which I'm going to show you in a quick video right here.
Did you know that only 1 out of 4 car seats is installed correctly? And while cars and trucks are safer than ever, motor vehicle crashes remain one of the leading causes of death for children. But proper car seat and booster seat use can help prevent many child injuries and deaths. Here are some top safety tips from Buckle Up for Life, the National Car Seat Safety Program from Cincinnati Children's and Toyota. Make sure everyone knows the latest best practices for car seats, booster seats, and seat belts. This includes parents, grandparents, and everyone who drives your children. Be sure your child is riding in the car seat that is right for their age, height, and weight. Always use the inch test and the pinch test. Pinch the car seat strap near the child's shoulder. If you can pinch a wrinkle in the fabric, tighten the strap until it is snug. For the inch test, grab the car seat at the bottom where it attaches to the vehicle seat and tug it from side to side and front to back. If the car seat moves more than an inch in either direction, tighten it. In cold weather, remove winter coats before buckling up. A coat can prevent the harness from fitting correctly, compromising the seat's ability to protect your child. Secure loose items in the car. Make sure backpacks, sports equipment, suitcases, and other essentials are tightly secured in your vehicle. These objects could become projectiles in the event of a crash. Set a good example for your kids by always buckling up. Buckle Up for Life hopes you and your family are safe on every ride.
And he makes a good point at the very end. In one of the other presentations I do, I talk about the children imitate their parents. Those of you with young children know that they try to do everything we do. They follow us around the house, they look at our behavior, they imitate us, they say what we say. If you teach them that buckling up is the first thing you do every time you get in the car, whether it's fastening their car seat correctly or you putting on your seatbelt, they're going to remember that and imitate that behavior. So keep that in mind. So booster seats. We know that booster seats work. Here in the Cleveland area, we really don't see a lot of booster seat use past like 5 years old. The law states they have to be restrained until 8 or 4 feet 9. And there's a lot of reasons for that. So a booster seat reduces the risk of serious injury by 45% for children 4 to 8 when compared with seatbelt use alone. When we talked earlier about how the seatbelt fits, it fits you and I across that boniest part of our chest and across our hip bones. But on a child, that seatbelt's going to ride really high on the neck and it's going to ride into their abdomen. In a crash, what happens is that seatbelt's going to tighten. It's going to tighten close to their neck, creating head and neck injuries. And then that lap belt is actually going to be on soft tissue. It's not going to be on bone. So you think of it like a balloon and you put a rubber band around a balloon and that rubber band just kind of squishes that balloon. That's what the seatbelt's going to do. It's going to kind of squish their organs. It's going to move everything out of place. And in a severe crash, it can result in some really serious internal injuries. That's why booster seats are just so important in a car. But it's important when you're using a booster seat to make sure that you're using the correct one. Put a child in a booster seat in the car, fasten the belt, and look at how it fits. Does it go across that boniest part of the chest? Is it on their hip bones? All booster seats are not made alike, and they don't all fit in cars the way they should. So really try. And that's where keeping your child harnessed until like 5 or 6 will get them to that size they need to be to fit into a booster seat with a seatbelt. So keep that in mind. And if you put a child in a booster seat, I'm just going to add to this because, you know, this is my thing is booster seats. If you put a child in a booster seat and the belt doesn't fit, what a child typically does is they tuck the belt behind their back, the shoulder belt, which gives them no upper body protection. So in a crash, what's going to happen, it's called jackknifing or submarining. And what's going to happen is that lap belt's the only thing restraining them, and that's going to pull really hard and bend them in half. In a really serious crash, what happens is they submarine and they actually come out of that seatbelt. It's pretty graphic, so I'm just going to leave it at that. But when a seatbelt doesn't fit properly, that's what kids tend to do. That's why it's so important to look to see how it fits. Booster seat basics, same thing. Selection, direction, location. Make sure you're choosing the right booster seat. I always recommend for younger kiddos that it has a back on it, that it's not a backless one. Gives them side impact protection in that it has head wings and gives them somewhere to rest their head. The one on the left in this picture can be used as a booster seat once you take out that harness, and it's got some great side impact protection in that it envelops the child a little bit more. The girl on the left is in a backless, which is fine, but she's old enough. If you really look, her belt fits perfect. Booster seats always going forward facing. They always have to be in the back seat. Make sure you're using it correctly and make sure you're following the manufacturer's directions. Question we get asked all the time: how do I know when I can move from a booster seat to a seat belt? Your child's knees should bend at the edge of the seat. So at a 90-degree angle, when they sit on the seat and they bend their legs over, their feet to touch the floor, 90-degree angle. Vehicles fit snugly across the hips or upper thighs, across the shoulder and chest, not across the face or neck. If your child doesn't meet those criteria, then they're not ready for to get out of the booster seat yet. That's where our law stops at 8 or 4 feet 9. It's usually closer to 10 years of age when kids can come out of boosters. My kid was in a booster until 10. He wasn't happy with me. I know I talked really fast, but if you need help at all with your car seat, we are down here at Rainbow's main campus, 9 to 4, Monday through Friday by appointment only. And we do a lot of local events through the summer as well. We do a lot of car seat checks. If you want to stop by, make an appointment, we can look over what car seats you have in your car. And if you need a car seat because you can't afford one, you can also call this 216-844-2277 to inquire about our distribution program. I think I have one more thing to tell you. So things to consider: car temperature. Heat stroke is still one of the main leading causes of non-crash related fatalities among children. So heat stroke is when a child is accidentally left in the car. And I know you're all thinking, oh, that would never happen to me, but that's when it actually happens. Making sure that you look before you lock the car to make sure all children have exited the car is super important. What you have to remember is that a child's body temperature rises 5 times faster than an adult. And in a hot car on a typical day like this, like if it was a 70-degree day, that temperature can rise as fast as 30 degrees in less than 20 minutes. That's really significant. And a child's body temperature rises really quickly. You know, when you talk to your pediatrician and they say, if your child has a fever over 104, you really should call us. At 107, a body temperature becomes lethal. And that's when you won't be able to rescue a child. Look before you lock. Make sure you check everywhere that everyone's out of the car. Another really important fact is that last year, almost half of the car deaths that happened because of heat stroke were because of kids getting into cars and didn't know how to get out. So if your child goes missing, God forbid they go missing, check all the cars in the area. Keep your car locked in the garage, locked on the street, making sure the kids can't get in. If you think of a car from a child's standpoint, they love cars. They have steering wheels and they beep and they have lights and they have lots of levers and buttons. But a lot of our cars are now equipped with a lock feature where it locks automatically. Kids don't know which button to push to get out. So really, really keep that in mind. Oh, I did have a quick video if it'll buffer. It's like not even a minute. We've been having some internet issues today, so.
Did you know that in hot weather, the temperature inside of a car could be 40 degrees hotter than the temperature outside of the car? When you have children in the car, keep in mind the following things. Never leave a child in a vehicle alone, even if the windows are open or the air conditioning is on. If you get out of the vehicle to run a quick errand, take your child with you. Place a personal item like a purse, a briefcase, or cell phone in the back seat to make sure you check the back of the vehicle before walking away. Ask your child care provider to call if your child doesn't show up for care as expected. Finally, make sure to teach your children how to stay safe in and around the car. With these tips, Buckle Up for Life hopes you and your family are safe on every ride.
Great, thanks for your time. I'm going to pass this back over to Stephanie to finish us out.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to me. Yay. I want to give a shout out to Heidi and Sarah. Obviously, Sarah went over summer safety in terms of being safe in and around water, and Heidi went over summer safety in terms of being safe in the car, because we obviously got to use our car to get to these wonderful summer events. So I'm just gonna kind of wrap it all together, and then we're going to take some questions from you. So obviously you see we have this cute little slide here with all these little pictures, but let's learn about all these fun pictures. So the first summer safety tip is actively supervise children engaging in summertime activities, swimming, playing on playgrounds, or in backyards. Both Sarah and Heidi kept telling you the importance of parental and guardian supervision. So no matter if it's in your own backyard, you want to keep your child as safe as you can this summer, because a safe child is a happy child. Keep children away from the grill area. Yes, we are level 1 trauma here at Rainbow Babies, but we don't want to see you in the emergency room with a grill burn. We want to see you out in the community and having fun at all of our summer events. So please, if you are going to have a barbecue, only a parent is the one that is supposed to be cooking on the grill, and the kids get to enjoy the food, but keep them out of that area. Apply sunscreen every time your child or an adult plays outside. SPF of 30 or higher is highly recommended. And it is also recommended to reapply often, especially if you are at that pool or if you are outside and you are sweating a lot, because you want to keep reapplying SPF. Sunburn is very, very dangerous for children as well as adults. And we want to make sure that your skin is clean, healthy, and safe to last you not only in the summer months, but your whole life through. Make sure your child is hydrated. We see all the time dehydration with kiddos because kids don't want to stop and take a drink, especially when they're being very active. So according to the according to the American Academy of Pediatrics, it is recommended that 5 ounces of water is for a child about 88 pounds every 20 minutes, and 9 ounces of water is recommended for a child for 132 pounds adolescent every 20 minutes. So as you see on the screen, 1 gulp of water is equal to about a ½ ounce of fluid. So keep those water bottles refilled every chance you get. Use appropriate safety gear for your child's activities, such as a helmet when they are riding their bike, or a life jacket when they are swimming at the pool or in the lake or wherever you and your child enjoy the swimming activities. There is such thing as proper helmet fitting as well as proper life jacket fitting. So you want to make sure that you follow the guidelines, just like car seats for the child's height and weight. We do provide helmet fitting tapes here at Rainbow. You can also get them at any bike store, or you can download how to properly fit your child's head in a helmet so their helmet fits properly and it avoids injuries. Same with life jackets. Life jackets have tags on them that tell you the maximum and the minimum height and weight requirements to properly use that life jacket. You just heard from Heidi about motor vehicles, cars, and safety in and around cars. So walk all the way around a parked vehicle because kids love to play outside. So before you start that motor, make sure that every part of that car is visible for you. And you don't let your children play in driveways, streets, parking lots, or any unfenced yards that are adjacent to busy streets. Obviously, this sounds like a no-brainer, but in the summer, we all get a little distracted, so we just want to make sure that we're doing our summer safety tips as much as we can. Kids love to play in the yard, so it is gardening season. So you want to make sure that you remove all poisons, pesticides, poisonous plants, or pool chemicals away from your kiddos, because you do not want them to be involved in an accident that could have been avoided by removing these hazards in your yard. And ladies and gentlemen, here are some resources for our Safe Kids Worldwide website. We at University Hospitals Cleveland Medical Center, we are the coordinating entity for Safe Kids Greater Cleveland. So here is the website that you can find some of this resources provided, as well as our Heads Up campaign that talks about bike helmets and the safety of properly wearing a bike helmet for the summertime. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, you want to role model proper safety behavior. Obviously, children are more likely to follow safety rules when they see you guys doing it. So if you're going to drive in a car, wear that seatbelt. If you're going to go swimming, wear that life jacket. If you're going to ride that bike, wear that helmet. And always remember to apply that sunscreen and to stay hydrated, because the kids will want to do what their parents do. So with that, we are going to open it up for question and answer. And we just want to thank you so much for your time and attention that you gave us on this presentation this evening. So thank you so much, but we'll stick around for some questions.
All right. Thank you so much, Stephanie and colleagues. Boy, that was a lot of information. And as I listened, I thought, my goodness, this is really important. My son's 18 now, and he just pulled into the driveway after doing his internship. But I do remember trying to figure out how to get those car seats to work and having him facing the back for so long. And he was in a booster seat forever, it seemed, but we were determined to keep him safe. So anyway, we will be happy to share the resources with families later too. If any of you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A and we can read them aloud. But I had a couple questions. Since there aren't any waiting in the Q&A yet, I will start. One was about fireworks and sparklers. If you have anything about that, I had a couple. I have a few questions, so if no one else is asking, I'll just keep going, but all of you can feel free to put them in the Q&A section. So, yeah, so prevention, I guess, is what I'm going for because those activities were happening. I could hear them this weekend, and I'm sure they'll be coming soon.
The fireworks burn really, really hot, even just sparklers, which kids use a lot. I can't remember the temperature off the top of my head, but children should be supervised no matter what. You're using a flame to light those sparklers. You should have something nearby where they can extinguish them, whether it's a bucket of water or a bucket of sand. And remember that that's a wire rod that sparkler is. It's going to be hot to touch once it's done burning. So make sure the kids know where to put it, that no one steps on it, etc. As for other fireworks, I'm a proponent of kids not being near them at all. Kids shouldn't be blowing off firecrackers. They shouldn't be playing with matches or a lighter. And as always, they have to be supervised by adults. I know I'm hearing them all over the neighborhood already too, and it kind of scares me a little bit.
Great. And then do you have anything you wanted to say about my boss asked about this because apparently it was in the newspaper, and I know I take precautions around ticks. And I am a big proponent of nature experiences, nature hikes and walks. But when you do go out places, you want to stay on the paths sometimes, and then just beware. Now, at least where I live in Cleveland Heights, very close to UH, actually, there are deer everywhere, a lot of them. And I've heard that there's more tick-borne diseases. I'm not going to stay out of nature. I'm going to stay going in nature, but I'm just going to take my precautions. So just thought I'd ask you to talk a little about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we here at Rainbow, we follow obviously everything that the American Academy of Pediatrics asks us to follow. So the tips on the proper bug repellent to wear for the ages appropriate to wear that type of bug repellent. You want to make sure that if you are taking a nature walk in the wooded areas, that you do cover your legs and your arms appropriately. Not only for preventative of ticks, but also for preventative of poison ivy and other poisonous plants that you might come across. But we really follow the standards that, American Pediatrics Association asks us to follow. We do have the website, the Safe Kids Worldwide website, that I will share with you again after the presentation. That does have some tips and tricks in order to handle that. I know in the area that I'm at, ticks is definitely on the rise, but it's just all about protecting your skin and also looking at the animals that may be outside, making sure before you bring your pet indoors that you do check your pet for ticks, because it's very important that your pet does not bring that into the household as well. But just doing the simple things, the repellent and the proper clothing is pretty much what we recommend. And of course, talking to your pediatrician about proper recommendations.
If you've gone out on a nature walk, that when you get back in, make it a game that everyone checks everybody else. Check any exposed skin for ticks. Make sure there's no ticks on your clothing. Lightweight, long sleeve or long pants. I know that's hard in the summer when it's hot, but you don't want the ticks looking for somewhere to burrow in. So make sure you're looking for those actively when you get back.
And someone asked, any bug repellent appropriate for a 15-month-old? And that just reminded me, we need to be concerned about mosquitoes too. So just bug repellent generally. And I put in the chat the kind my family reviewed. We're very conscious of what we put in and on our bodies. And this got a really good review from Wirecutter, Sawyer Picaridin. It's like a pepper spray. Anyway, it's really worked for me because I work in a garden a lot, and I'm not getting eaten by mosquitoes when I use this. But anyway, go ahead.
Now that I don't know offhand, I would say talk to your pediatrician and ask for a recommendation, especially for bug repellent or sunscreen. I know for kiddos, no sunscreen under 6 months because their skin is so thin that the body absorbs those chemicals from the sunscreen and doesn't do the child any good. I'd be worried about bug spray until you've talked to a pediatrician or at least looked at the American Academy of Pediatrics website to see what is recommended. We don't know that off the top of our heads, unfortunately, sorry. But pediatrician's always a great place to go, or call the nurse line and ask some questions.
Absolutely, yes. And yeah. So, and just again, those tips for dressing children properly, making sure they have a hat, a wide brim hat, and other things. There's other ways you can protect the littlest little ones. And then air quality is another. I am someone who developed asthma as an adult, and I have asthma triggered by poor air quality after 20 years of living in Chicago and having to spend too much time in traffic, and probably working in a childcare center where I sprayed bleach on tables a few times a day. But anyway, I've been very aware that I've had to, I check the air quality every day, so I know what I'm dealing with. But how do we, and then there's issues of like, if you have fires in your backyard and smoke, fire pits, do you have anything you want to recommend or say about that?
I don't know that necessarily recommendations, but I know that there's a lot of information out there on air quality, especially with the fires from Canada right now. I know that even local weather forecasts have been talking about that. If your child suffers from allergies or has asthma, they're saying to, stay indoors, drive with your windows up, use the air conditioning. But again, American Academy of Pediatrics would probably be the best place for that. And I know that if your child really does suffer from allergies or asthma, it would be great to have a conversation with your pediatrician about that. I know even in my case, I suffer from both, and I've had to use a rescue inhaler with the air quality lately. But it's a great way to open up a conversation with that nurse practitioner or your pediatrician on that. I think that's really a specific question that families really have to talk to a caregiver about.
Thank you. And then around the water issue, water safety, I thought she might want to just talk a little again about in your own yard or nearby prevention, because I can't recall, so I'm hoping you might share. I know you can have danger even with a little water, like not a big amount of water in a kiddie pool or in a bucket or something. So I just wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about that.
Yes, so kids can drown in as little as 1 to 2 inches of water. So if you have those buckets in your yard or anywhere in your house, make sure that they are emptied when you're finished using them. They're upside down, so kids aren't getting in them. Kiddie pools, when you're not using them, empty, upside down. If you just leave out in the yard, rain collects in it, that's danger as well. And on one of the resources I had, which we will be sending out, talks about the 5 layers of protection. And that there's a short video, if you follow that link to watch, that is an amazing video, talks about everything that you can do, especially if you have easy access to water at your house. So that is definitely making sure that you have a 4-foot high gate on all 4 sides of your pool, making sure there's an alarm attached to that gate, making sure that give your kids in swim lessons so that they have that water competency, making sure that they can't access water when they're not supposed to. A lot of drownings happen not even during swim time. So whether that's a kid wandering off to get a toy that fell into the pool, or water is a really fascinating element. Kids are very curious. They like to explore that. They want to see what it is, how they can play in it. So definitely doing that, making sure that you're removing all the toys from your pool when you're done swimming. Kids love toys. If you leave those toys floating in your pool, or even the toys that sink to the bottom of your pool, kids will see that. They will want to play with the toys. They can easily wander in that way. So just making sure that you're taking all of those things into account. And of course, we did talk about the supervision. And again, I keep saying this, but swim lessons, making sure that your kids are confident around water without flotation devices. So should they find themselves in trouble, in danger, then of course they are more likely to be able to get themselves out if they are confident in their swimming abilities. And then I know this is a summer theme, but it's also good while we're talking about this to remind everyone that younger children, the most common place that they drown is in the bathtub at home. So making sure that you're not leaving the water running and leaving your child in the bathtub to go run and grab more shampoo out of the closet or something. Making sure that you are with them the whole time while you're giving them a bath. Even using those baby bathtubs you can use in a tub that will limit the amount of water and help support your child, especially your younger kiddos, as you are bathing them. Water is a lot of fun. We use it for a lot of things, but you need to respect the element. You need to understand that it poses a risk, and try to mitigate that risk as much as you can.
Thank you. We had a question. Are there any children's books you recommend that explore some of the safety topics covered in this webinar? It would be a fun way to introduce my baby who loves books to these topics. That's a great question.
That is a great question.
They're all good questions.
Yes. Yes, I actually, funny enough, used to work in a children's library. So books are also a passion of mine. I'm trying to think of any picture books off the top of my head. I can't think of them at the moment. I know specifically for the kiddos regarding bike helmet safety. If you have a kiddo who's getting older, getting into reading like those earlier chapter books, transitioning into like the middle grade novels, there is a great book. I will warn you, it is sad. But if you have a stubborn kiddo that does not want to wear their helmet, there's a book called Mick Hart Was Here. It is a tragic story, but the author handles it really well, with how to basically show kids the importance of wearing helmets, and what can happen if you decide not to wear a helmet because you don't think it looks cool. Aside from that, I wish I would have thought to make a list of those books, but
you know what, you can, if you think of it later and you come up with a list, we can share it on our Healthy Families resource page on our website, which is a good time for me to remind people that I'm going to ask my colleague to maybe put the link for that in the chat. For the Literacy Cooperative, we have the recordings for all these presentations we've done, as well as the related resources, and we will be putting this up there along with related resources. And I always love to remind people to go to your library and ask your librarian for assistance and with help finding books about different topics that interest your child, and feeding their curiosity, but about things like this is a really good idea. Reading books and explaining things and the reasons why, and taking it as an opportunity to give them more information, more vocabulary. Even young children, their receptive language is much more advanced than their expressive language. So it's great to share more information in those whys. And for the novel she was talking about, you know, that sounds like it's for slightly older kids. So be careful what content you're sharing. But librarians are a great resource, and they want to help you. You know, I'm sure they'd be thrilled to have you going and asking for that help. So great, thank you. And let me just check Q&A. No more Q&A. Well, we're coming up to almost an hour. So if no one else had any more questions, I just want to say thank you again. This was really important information. We will let families know too. We'll remind them about the fact that you have they can make an appointment for a fitting with your fitting station. That is such a great resource. If there are other sources of car seats, you know, for people who are having trouble finding room in their budget for those things, we can help them. And then also, it sounds like you have the helmet fitting help too, so we can help with that. And any videos that you have that would be helpful, please let us know. And remember, all of you who are on still, we have a survey for you to fill out about how this program was helpful or what you're going to use from it, and with a couple other questions, and then also getting your input for future programs. So thank you all of our presenters and UH Rainbow. We are so lucky to have this excellent institution, Rainbow Babies and Children in our community, and to have experts like you willing to share. So I love how you guys are peeking in there. That's great. So I hope oh wait, one more question just came in. Oh, it said, no, it's a thank you. Thank you for a very informative presentation. Thank you, Bridget, for that comment. So thank you so much. And everyone, have a safe and happy summer. Hope some of you parents and caregivers get some rest, relaxation, restoration, joy, and fun. And to all of our presenters too, we want it to be a safe and happy summer. And this helps, you're helping us all by being with us today. So thanks again, everyone. Take care.